Hey folks, Joe Valley here. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Quiet Light Podcast. This one is fascinating. It's with a guy named Kiril Kirilov. He's actually a Bulgarian, has an amazing SaaS business to help people increase their revenue post-purchase, which is fascinating. We talk about all the opportunities to reach out to the customer and communicate with them proactively post-purchase, meaning when their product's being packaged, when their product is on the truck to be delivered, where it is, and all of this to the fact, even when it's on your doorstep. He gets into the fact that their data shows them that for every email you send to a customer post-purchase, it'll generate $1 in revenue, meaning that if you've got a sequence of 7 emails that you're going to send through this Rush.app, which is his business, you're going to gain $7 per customer. So if you've got 1,000 customers, you're going to gain an additional $7,000 in revenue post-purchase. Add or subtract zeros to the total number of customers as needed. The other cool thing about this is that in talking to Kiril, man, he's just a great guy. He's a former professional athlete. He can run a open 100 in 10.34. He used to be able to anyways, which is pretty damn impressive if you know anything about track. And then when he started this company, he raised some venture capital money with some angel investors and some pretty impressive ones. Folks that owned WooCommerce, founded WooCommerce, the original founder there, SMS Bump, Casey Armstrong, a number of different folks to build this business. He talks a little bit about that, talks about all the things that you can do to boost revenue post-purchase from the existing customers. And this is going to be really, really important as we go into the next couple of years if we have an economic downturn and your cost of lifetime value of a customer goes up. And he actually talks a little bit, this is another thing. Last thing, he's flipping the script on SaaS businesses. Instead of focusing on customer lifetime value, he's really trying to focus on customer lifetime gross profit, which is very interesting. So let's get into it. It's a podcast with the founder of Rush.app. His name is Kiril Kirilov. Here we go. Kiril, welcome to the Quiet Light Podcast.
Appreciate you having me here, Joe. It's been a while. We tried to schedule the meeting like 2 times over the past couple of months, but here we go.
I know, but every time we chat, we get to talk about track and field, which is exciting for me because you've got some incredible times and I've got an incredible son that does track and field as well. But we won't go into that because I think we get lost for an hour. Kiril Kirilov is your last name, if I pronounced that properly. Did I get that right?
1,000% right.
All right. Tell me about yourself so the audience understands who you are and what you do.
Approaching 40 right now, coming up from a small country called Bulgaria. It's fairly unknown. And track and field was actually my passion for quite a while, almost like 12 years. I'm not going to go into that specific route, but essentially that was the main reason for myself to find some space in the digital marketing ecosystem. Back then, when I used to have a surgery of my left knee, and I needed to find a way to build some more income in order to supplement myself and my needs. I was almost 24 years old back then. And that's how I actually started looking for more opportunities. And the first one that actually showed up was how to build, quote unquote, a business on eBay. And I just purchased an ebook for $70. And here we are a couple of years later, 14 years later.
14 years later. Yeah, not a couple. Yeah. So for the track and field folks out there, Kiril, your 100-meter, 100 open time was 10.34, right? Yeah, right there. 10.34.
That is correct.
It's pretty damn fast. So you weren't able to make a comfortable living as a professional track athlete. So you decided to do some digital marketing on the side. And 14 years later, you're out warming up and exercising with 200-meter open runs before the podcast.
Correct.
But you're making money as a digital online expert. You own a company called Rush.app. What does Rush.app do?
That is correct. I'm currently sweating, by the way. I don't know if people can recognize it.
You're glowing. You're glowing.
I'm
You're
glowing,
not sweating.
correct. Yeah. Thank you for that. Essentially, I currently have like two businesses, one a little bit bigger than the other, but one is my quote unquote, once again, passionate business, which is having a supplements company locally in Bulgaria, a private label one that currently have more than 10 plus products. And we're becoming like the leader on the market just because we definitely care about quality and how to communicate with our clients. But my story goes back to the past couple of years doing dropshipping myself, like using China as a fulfillment center in order to not pay for inventory upfront. And essentially, I got hit on so many bumps down the road. So I figured out that there was an opportunity that I wanted to pursue. I have no dev experience. That's why my co-founder and partner teamed up with myself like 2 years ago when we built up a company called Rush, which is a software as a service company that it's supporting Shopify merchants for the time being with anything post-purchase to build a better customer experience while utilizing the data coming up from the shipping carriers, whether it's going to be delays and whatever the case might be, in order to supplement the communication in a sense to, number one, get the eyeballs coming back to your funnel, and number two, monetize them and build a profit generator and also a retention generator.
So you're actually, this is the concept with Rush.app is helping merchants make additional revenue off of clients who haven't even received their product yet. It's being shipped to them. It's on the way.
Correct.
There's communication that happens and they actually buy something else.
Yes. And the two main reasons why this is happening, maybe number one, people are eager to know exactly what's happening with the parcel because it's not like Amazon or eBay or some other, for example, big marketplace that you're almost like safe and secured with these refund policies and whatnot, but you're just purchasing from a random D2C brand, and you never know what's going to happen if an item is going to get delayed super long, or what is currently the whole policy around the brand. So we're going to tap in, we're going to build these automation sequences and flows. It's almost like set it and forget it. The consumers, the clients of these D2C brands are going to open them up. And we're currently seeing a tremendous amount of huge open rates, anything between 50 to 80% on the email, and on the low end, like 80% on the SMS side. So essentially, we're not really selling through these notifications. We're just notifying, but you're giving another reason for the prospect to come back and just spend more dollars.
So it's not a direct pitch for, hey, you bought this. Now take a look at this, this, and this. It's just notifying them, helping them, communicating with them about the process or the timeliness of their past order. And within that, you're giving links back to the website for similar products, or how does it work?
Oh, you're giving a link to a quote unquote a branded tracking page with the most recent information about their current parcel.
A branded tracking page.
Correct. Okay. They're going to go there. They're going to look up the order status, and essentially they can keep on scrolling down. And we're going to be applying, these call to action, elements and buttons, for instance, like banners and some upsells and cross sells. So once you provide, the consumers with a beautiful experience, they're naturally going to click through and just browse around. And at the end of the day, they're going to spend more money with your brand and not essentially spend that time on a third-party website like the DHLs and USPSs, etc.
So one of the lines that we talked about in terms of subject lines for the podcast was get 8 times more opens and clicks than any other type of email and increase your revenue by 600%.
Correct.
Do you have specific examples of people that have used this type of service and increased their revenue by 600%?
Correct. I have. And the reason behind that powerful amplifier that is happening on the back of the post-purchase experience is due to the fact that nowadays, let's say that email in general on Klaviyo, only sent to any other. I don't need to make any recommendations for an email service provider, but these are the most popular ones in the Shopify ecosystem. If you're putting up some campaigns together, you're going to see on the low end, 15 to 20% open rates and 1-2% click-through rates, which essentially is going to kill your reputation and authority in the eyes of these email service providers like Gmail and Hotmail and all the inboxes that are going to be receiving these notifications. But using Rush, technically, it's a natural way for people to open these notifications about your order is in transit, your order is out for delivery. But guess what? 7 days after an order has been delivered, you can make a follow-up asking for a feedback. How was your experience? What we can do better next time in order to make you a satisfied customer after all. And that's why I said it is we're seeing between 50 to 80% open rates. And the most beautiful part is that our email notifications are getting between 20 and 50% click-through rates. So essentially, what we're seeing as data is between 3 and 5 sessions on average, a single consumer on a single order is going to come back to that very tracking page to look up the order status and continue on browsing around. So what people can expect, regardless of your vertical or category, whether you're selling clothing and apparel, supplements, CPG, it doesn't really matter. It's like as a benchmark for every single email notification, which is technically servicing the shipping information, you should expect to get $1 for a single email that is going to be sent out. So if you're doing 5,000 shipments or orders per month, you're easily going to get at least $5,000 at the end of the month, like easy. And our software is probably going to cost you like 40 or 50 bucks, easy as that. So that's why we're seeing these tremendous, ROI-driven results, just because we're not cheap, but we are all reasonable when it comes down to delivering better ROI. So essentially, our application is going to pay for itself at the end of the month.
That's a pretty interesting statistic. $1 per email, $1 of revenue, $1 profit per email. It's revenue, obviously. Yeah. I guess it would depend. But you're sending you in this situation. If you've got 250 orders every month, we're gaining an additional 250. Or if you've got 2,500, you're getting 2,500. That's what you're talking about, right? Or is it the 250 orders times the 7 emails that you're sending?
That is correct.
Okay.
The second one, yeah. So it just compounds. It really depends on how many flows and sequences you're going to build up. And it's just
what do you recommend? What do you recommend in terms of how many emails get sent out?
That's a good question, by the way. What we see right now is between 4 and 5 sequences. So for instance, even with the approaching Q4 season and with the business of the seasonality, anything in regards to the fulfillment that is happening on the back of the warehouses. So what I mean is that usually it's going to take between 24 to 72 hours for your warehouse to process the shipment. It's still not out of the warehouse. But this is actually the time that the consumers are most eager to know what's happening. Mm-hmm. Give me more reasoning, like frequently asked questions. Fight back on their most common objections. I don't trust your brand. I don't justify the pricing. Nobody's communicating with myself over the next 72 hours. Send them a follow-up, but it's going to be tightly connected to the fact that once an item is going to be out for delivery, we're going to recognize the status because we are tightly connected to the APIs of these USPS and DHS and all these big shippers. And we're going to disregard the first sequence. Then we're going to continue on with it's in transit. It's right now out for delivery. Prepare yourself to be at the doorstep or at the address at the moment of the delivery. If there is a failed delivery, no worries at all. We can see that and we can send you another follow-up. And one of the most successful sequences, I think I've mentioned it like once a couple of minutes ago, is having a specific date tightly connected to the delivered status. So if it's like 7 days later, if it's like 14 days later. So for example, if you're selling supplements, you can expect for people to be like, say, happy or satisfied 5 days later. They need some time in order to feel the product.
Right.
If it's, for example, a dress or a hoodie, it's like almost instant experience. Mm-hmm. So it really depends how we're going to connect it to the delivered status to build that better customer experience.
And those are follow-up emails after they've received the product. Are they seeking feedback and reviews? Is it doing that in combination with links back to the website for additional browsing? What is it? Do you actually say, are there any problems you'd like to tell us about or anything like that? How detailed do you recommend people get?
Yeah, the flow is basically a sequence. You might start with a feedback request, for example. Then you can say, you know what, we have that beautiful, limited collection right now on sale. then you can, have, let's say 2 days later, send another follow-up. So for instance, like anything that is going to continue on compounding the trust and the satisfaction, in my opinion, it's crucial. Don't just try to hard sell. Make sure to make people understand better your product, the brand, and your service. If they can do that, they have enough reasoning to continue on coming back to your website and your store to spend more dollars. People get lost with 5 days later, I'm going to send 20% off. 15 days later, I'm going to send 50% off. Nobody cares about discounts. They care about the added value, which is the overall experience, in my opinion.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you mentioned product or service, but this is really for physical products that are being shipped, right? It's not a service.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And primarily for products that at this point being sold on Shopify, right?
That is correct.
Right. So if I've got a WordPress site, not usable at this point.
Not at the moment, even though I used to use WooCommerce and Shopify at the same time, a few years ago, and we're definitely looking forward to expand on WooCommerce as well.
Okay. And how long have you been in business with the Rush.app? How many years?
Almost like 2 years. Like we started the company March 2020. It was just an idea. We sat down, draw the mockups, and we started putting a pen to paper. And we started hiring the first developers. But listen, if it wasn't for my co-founder, I was probably not going to be sitting here doing the podcast. Maybe we're going to be chatting about something else, but not about building a software as a service type of a company. It's a different beast, and it's nothing in comparison about building a D2C or B2C brand that is serving people with physical products. It's B2B in its pure form, and it's really essential to understand the core obstacles and common beliefs and pain points about what kind of products you're going to build in order to ship it out as fast as possible, so that you can make sure to make people proud of using your technology compared to your competitors.
Yeah, building a SaaS business like yours is very different than selling grilling aprons, that's for sure. Remind me, how did you and your partner meet?
We've been friends for the past couple, let's say 7 to 8 years. Essentially, my wife and his wife were pretty close ever since high school. And we just chatted around, shared a couple of beers. And at some point, I got to know him a little bit better. He got to know me a little bit better. And prior Rush, he was working for Upwork, the company itself, as a technical lead and product manager. And he was leading a team of 20 developers, something like that. It's a pretty big size team, because usually the size of these small teams and technical developers and technical leads are serving not more than 5 to 7 developers. He was leading 20. And he's like, listen, I've been building software for the past 20 years. I know how to put up the code, and I know how to scale the technology. And I was like, let's sit down, see what kind of investment we need to put together. So we were bootstrapped in the beginning in 2020. And we attracted some eyeballs from pretty well connected and sophisticated and also experienced angel investors, which I'm super proud of, by the way, because they're number one, friends of ours right now. And number two, people that I can always follow up with if I need to look for some help.
Help in terms of I need more money, or help in terms of, hey, look, we're experiencing this challenge in our business. You're my mentor, essentially. How would you address this? Which one?
Yes. So check it out. Both, if not more. And what I mean is that I'm going to just, share some of the names because it's publicly available right now. Number one, we have the the original ex-co-founder of WooCommerce by the name of AD Pina. He's angel investing in our company. We have the guys behind SMS Bump. It's a pretty popular SMS solution, which is one of the biggest ones right now in the Shopify ecosystem. Currently part of the family of Yotpo. The guys also backed us up on that journey. We have Jonathan Kennedy, who is the founder of Carson. And we have, last but not least, Casey Armstrong, who is currently the CMO of ShipBop, the biggest 3PL warehousing solution in the United States, and also serving thousands of big Shopify brands. So these guys not that they just put some dollars and some skin in the game, but if we need if we need like a second pair of eyes, they're always there for us. So sometimes I'm going to be lost into what should we do next? Like what kind of go-to-market strategy we need to go after? How should I treat, for example, my big, mid-market enterprise clients? What is important for them? They've been there exactly where we're going after right now. So it's a little bit easy for us to understand the ecosystem and to not, how to put it, to not make some stupid rookie mistakes, to put it like that. We have good coaches around us. So we need to be the good athletes that we need to just practice every single day and move forward and execute.
Pretty impressive list of names there. And you're giving your credit to your business partner that if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here. But if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't be here either. He'd still be working his mutual day job at Upwork. Are you comfortable telling us, in the 24 months that you've launched the business, how many subscribers you've managed to raise?
Of course, I can actually tell you how much money we've raised so far as well. We're currently serving a little bit over 1,500 Shopify customers right now, every single day. We're super proud of that fact because I don't really believe that we still have a product market fit. It's a big total addressable market, which is the Shopify ecosystem. So essentially, after you're probably going to close 20,000, 30,000 live active customers, you might find yourself in a position to know exactly who you're serving. But right now, we're still figuring it out, whether we need to go up mid-market enterprise, or we go out and serve the SMBs. But the product is applicable for both ISPs. On the other hand, we've raised a small round, like $300,000 in 2021. That was backed up by our angel investors. And we currently closed the seed round, which is 2.5 million euros, not USD. I think it's like 2.8 or 2.7 based upon the currency conversion, but it doesn't really matter that much. And we're pretty much with well-established finances. We grew the team from, a couple of guys, like we were sitting at 5 guys, the total team in 2021. Right now we're 24, something like that. So put it like R&D, 11 or 12 developers currently working full-time. And we have amazing, support, growth, marketing, and also a special division for the partners, which are our influencers and our agency that we're currently supporting every single day. So it sounds like a small team compared to what's currently available in the ecosystem, but I'm really proud of the guys that are currently backing us. And I don't know who said it, but people make the teams, teams make the brands, and the companies grow up faster. And I can't complain. I have my sleepless nights where I need to sit down on the laptop and just trying to figure things out. But essentially, building a software as a service company, it's been like my greatest education over the past couple of years.
Well, it's pretty impressive what you've done. The names that you've gotten to, invest and believe in you. You've raised some money. I'm assuming all of that money, or the vast majority, is going to the team that you've built to continue to build the product and then, of course, to market the app to folks as well in the e-commerce world. Are you focused on, or is there a differentiation between folks that are doing 10, 20, 50 million in revenue, or those doing $1 million in revenue? Do you have a preference, or are you going after both as far as clients?
We're going after them all, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We have clients currently, some of them are doing like 5 mil per month, like huge 7 figures per month. We have customers who are getting started, like, mom and pop shops, or just, some random junior guys. So what I mean by that, like people getting started at the age of 21, 22, trying to figure, e-commerce out.
Yeah.
But everybody starts from somewhere. We need to respect them because you never know after 2 years how these guys are going to explode. I'm actually, sitting with a Reese brand. I don't need to make, another ad for example, huge conference, but I was in Miami like 7 or 10 days ago, and I came back to Bulgaria. I was attending a pretty well put together Shopify conference. I've made so many great friendships and connections over there, but my mind was blown away by the fact that most of the big agencies right now that are supporting, for instance, let's say email marketing, and CRO and Facebook advertising, and TikTok is right now a big trend. Most of these founders of these agencies are at the age between 22 and 25. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, these guys 4 years ago were probably like senior at high school.
Yeah.
Like, maybe trying to go to college, to university. Right now, they're building these big 7-8 figure agencies. It's ridiculous. But the brands, on the other hand, like the matured ones, the ones who are doing, a good amount of revenue, built up from guys. I mean, fairly, young people, like 25 plus, but for the most part, like 30 plus years old.
Yeah, I find that over the last decade, the average age of the person in the industry is much older than it was. It's not kids slapping things together anymore just to make a buck. They're the exceptions, where there are some of the young ones that are innovating and doing things differently that are helping everyone else. They're seeing the problem and solving it. But the majority of the folks that I work with have a little age, a little wisdom to them. And their goal is to build a great brand, a great business, for eventually a great buyer to take over at a great price. It's not just slapping it together and trying to make a buck anymore. It's trying to
I think it's a great point that you just mentioned it. Number one, of the fact that you're building something for an exit. If you're not building for an exit, you're not really like pushing yourself too hard. I don't say that you need to not sleep, for example, or hustle hard every single day, but essentially you know what the opportunity is currently in the market. So if you build to exit, you're going to shrink the time to build to the exit, in my opinion. I can see it as a trend, and I can see so many, friends of mine actually exited quite a bit of e-com brands over the past couple of years. Like, they started from scratch, and essentially in 2 years, they're just, going to the races and just making a pretty healthy amount of money.
Well, I've seen it lots and lots of times.
Yes.
In the position I'm in. Let's take a moment then to jump to a little mini promotion, a little ad here, folks. We have a goal of giving away 10,000 copies, digital copies of the Exitpreneurs Playbook. So you can do exactly what Kiril was talking about. Exit well. Learn the value of your business first. Set goals, reverse engineer a path to them. Make sure that you're pulling or pushing the levers that are going to improve the value of your business and improve what I call the 4-pillar tilt. It's not just a multiple times your discretionary earnings equals the value of your business. There's going to be a multiple range that your business is going to be in. And that 4-pillar is going to tilt one way or the other, increasing the value or decreasing the value. So you've got to learn what buyers want in those 4 pillars. They're all in the Exitpreneurs Playbook. You can get a free digital copy at exitpreneur.io/QL pod, /QL pod, just like Quiet Light Podcast. There you can download a digital version of the book. If you do it on your mobile phone or mobile device, you can download it directly to your Kindle, iBook, or Nook, and essentially get the free digital version or Kindle version, if you will. So if you are an entrepreneur building a business to exit, I know I wrote the book, but please get the book. There's a lot of information in there that's going to help you. I'm giving it away for free. If you're an entrepreneur that's going to buy a business, if you're an acquisition entrepreneur, don't you want the opposing team's playbook? It's exactly what it is. It's called the Exitpreneurs Playbook, not the Acquisition Entrepreneurs Playbook. So get the playbook if you're buying a business. It's going to help you make some better decisions as well. All at exitpreneur.io/QL pod. And now back to Kiril. You've been listening to me ramble. I see you smiling there. This is all right up your alley as well. You must have, with your investors, you must have talked about the exit and the ultimate goal in the business, right? They're looking for a return on investment as well. How do those conversations go?
Wow, that's great. By the way, that was a great brief that you just put together. But going to a question, that's a great talk right now that is coming up on the top, to be honest with you. Number one, because so many of the venture capital funds are seeing that the recession is going to kick in, and it's probably going to last for a couple of years. The trajectory is like 2-3 years right now. Even listening to guys like David Sachs and Jason Calacanis, or if you want to go to Y Combinator, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's seeing that the inflation is going through the roof, and the interest rates are not going down at all. So it means that if you're building a business on moving cents, you have a great chance to be out of the business in no time, just because you're not building on this, right, fundamental principles, which essentially are like product marketing and support. If you understand your product, but it has to be communicated from the support, and you have to know how to communicate with your clients and your future prospects and leads. So going back once again to your question, I do believe that so many of the new entrepreneurs who are going to be entering the ecosystem, so for instance, the SaaS ecosystem, are going to have some hard time if they don't have a clear blueprint to figure how they can bootstrap their way to success. The guys who have raised some capital, they have a little bit of a longer runway. It really depends how you're going to optimize your runway over the next couple of maybe 24 to 30 months. That's what people are currently trying to optimize for right now. Speaking specifically for Series A, B, and the bigger rounds, because you have more overhead, more talent, and more hires have been made over the past couple of months. We don't really specifically go into that category, but we're also being aware that we would rather be alive in 2 years and make sure that we can still support our clients and still continue on growing, regardless of if it's 20% or 100%, if it's 1,000%, but making sure that we can remain in business. And I think that the valuations are not like what it used to be like through the COVID period, which essentially anyone with a good idea or maybe a well put together MVP can get a 30x multiple. Right now it's between 5 and 7 if you're lucky. So
we're talking about SaaS businesses. Are you talking about 5 to 7 of revenue or 5 to 7 of earnings?
5 to 7 at revenue right now.
Okay.
But it's like more like future revenue that you're probably going to sell to your investors. But it's not like 30x.
Let me throw a caveat there, folks. This is because all of the money that's being invested is into development and building that client base. He's not actually profitable, I would assume, at this point. Is that right, Kira?
That is correct. Right. 1,000%.
Right. So David Newell wrote a great piece on building a 6, 7, or 8 figure SaaS business. If you do a search for that and David Newell, it's on the Quiet Light page. It's basically a mini book that he talks about it. And the valuations flip from a multiple of earnings or discretionary earnings to a multiple of revenue. When you get to a certain size, when you have a certain amount of subscribers, and when you're taking all of your money, like Kiro is, and reinvesting it in the growth of the company for future value, that's when you get a flip to a multiple of revenue. And hey, 5 to 7 times the revenue is pretty impressive. I'm sure there's lots of e-commerce and content owners that would love to get 5 to 7 of revenue. It's not the case. It's not the way it happens in that part of the world. But with what you're doing, Kiro, certainly. When you get large enough, of course, it's certainly possible. So how far out into the future are you predicting or hoping that maybe you and your investors will have an exit? Or is it just not in the cards yet? You're just focused on building the business and making it great?
I think it's the second option, at least for the time being. Number one, because our current VCs and angel investors per se are willing to back us up regardless of the route. So you never know if the recession is going to kick in, like what's happening right now in the ecosystem. So we're always going to optimize accordingly to continue on building a great business put together while not sacrificing on the future opportunity, to put it like that. So for instance, I think that the main indicators that people has to focus on right now, it's think about even a potential Series A round or Series B, if you are definitely qualifying for such a big round, but making sure that you can be in the mindset of a bootstrap company. What is important right now in terms of KPIs in order to, number one, sustain the growth of the company and to not sacrifice, just not, burn capital over stupid, ideas and initiatives, etc. Like apply the 80-20 principle, be aware of the fact that even the market is going to get squeezed a little bit. Let's say, for example, Shopify is super profitable. They have so much money in the bank right now, but they're down I think, like 70 to 80% on the stock market. It's a huge indicator that something is happening. What is the exact, what are the inputs and the outputs? I don't really know, because we have some news that are coming up, left and right. But it's not like I'm currently sitting on the board of directors on Shopify and I know what's happening behind the curtains. Like there is 1.7 million Shopify stores in our case, but how many of them are actually making money? Is it 100,000? Is it 200,000? I don't know, 500,000, or maybe just 500,000 are making more than, I don't know, 30,000 per month, not more. Maybe the big brands who are 7 or 8 figures are in the low of 20,000 in total. You never know. So make sure that you know essentially what is your ideal customer profile look like, how you're going to support it in the best fashion possible, and how you can stack more value, not only from features and product, but give them blueprints, give them education, give them, for example, data that is currently at your disposal. We have so much data right now. Even at the past Q4, we know essentially how big delays are going to occur in the next Q4 season. Provide the data in advance and say to them, you know what, make sure that you're going to keep these things in mind before you're going to start, scaling in Q4 and you're going to start monetizing, but don't sacrifice on the fact that you need to retain your customers because you're building your product and your brand as an e-com owner, not just to squeeze profits, but the majority of the profits is happening from the people who are going to become, a second-time purchaser, a third-time purchaser, and maybe a lifetime purchaser, for example, for the next couple of years. This is where the money is going to be made. And if nobody's going to get it like straight, that you need to do the extra mile to not sacrifice your service and your support and your product, you have a great chance to build a great brand. And that's basically, it's not about copywriting. I mean, copywriting is essential, but make sure to service your consumers and clients in the best fashion possible.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to make a prediction that, a business like yours, Rush.app, is going to actually flourish during an economic downturn because people are going to want to make sure that they're maximizing every dollar. And when they can spend $40 or $50 a month for your service and get $1 for every email they send out, and they send 7 emails to a single customer that placed an order, and they've got 1,000 emails that they're sending out every month. That's a lot of profit added, and it's servicing that customer, and it's building their own brand and reputation. It's going to help them survive and thrive during an economic downturn and come out the other side really strong and much more valuable. So I think your business is going to help a lot of people during this economic downturn. One last question that I'm confused about. I just want to get it answered for the audience, and that is, does Rush.app replace Klaviyo and other email type services, or does it just focus on post-purchase email communication with the customers?
A great question, by the way. And I want to add something on top of in regards to the value that you just mentioned.
Okay.
Number one, think about it like that. If Klaviyo is the gun, right? We are the trigger and the bullet that is going to be sent out. So we essentially are trying to leverage any kind of notification systems, where it's going to be push notifications or SMS notifications or email marketing notification systems like Klaviyo. We're just providing more data to feed the beast, which is Klaviyo. But Klaviyo is going to get the data and is going to transform the data in multiple recipes, we call them. As I said, it like deliver 10 days later, make another, for example, follow up with the customer. If it's currently at customs, or if it's a delay is happening without any proper reason, or if it's currently, for example, failing to deliver, Klaviyo don't have the data. We're providing the data, we are putting on the trigger, and we're sending the bullet through an email, SMS, or push notification. And something that we started optimizing internally and building up as a coach and moving forward, I can see all the SaaS companies, preaching about customer lifetime value, but we're switching the model, by the way. And we're probably going to be the first ones who are going to start speaking about it. We want to introduce, it's fairly known, but nobody's using it. Like optimizing for customer lifetime value is great, but you should optimize for customer lifetime profit generation that you're going to build over time. So think about the gross profit, not only the revenue that you can build up at the end of the day. And as you said it, we're trying to provide more profit to supplement the growth of these businesses. We're not trying to just provide more revenue. They can send 1,000, for example, abandoned cart sequences. They can, build up revenue, but they're essentially not building gross profit. We want to show them how to build more gross profit to even become more profitable as an e-com brand, and essentially to stand out on the facing challenges right now. So for example, with cost of acquisitions going up on Facebook, attribution is completely ruined. People are going to TikToks and trying to find their way to keep on looking for more top of the funnel prospects and leads. But regardless of the place that you're going to look for more customers, make sure to squeeze enough gross profit post-purchase.
There's a lot of it there, and it's just waiting. From the sounds of it, it's underutilized, and your service really makes it easy. So I appreciate the time that you and your partner put into building this business, Kiril, because you're building a business that's going to help thousands, tens of thousands, hopefully in time, for your benefit and for the benefit of the e-commerce entrepreneurs that are out there that need to make things easier and more profitable. So I appreciate all of that. I appreciate the time you spent with us today. Tell the audience, how do they reach out to you? How do they find you? How do they find about the service? Things of that nature.
I'm elsewhere. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. You can just search for Hey Kiril as my username. And just go to rush.app. If you just send a notification or a support ticket and just ask for myself, I'm going to stick around because I'm always looking to communicate with our future clients and our recent clients and make sure that I'm going to be as close as possible to you guys. And Joe, thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad we finally made it. I'm glad that the baby's healthy and strong, and
yes,
that you got a few 200 open 200 runs in before we came on the podcast today.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.